to receive the maximum benefit that's for your highest and greatest good. And then for everybody else, you as well. Set your intention that whatever you're meant to hear, you hear. Whatever you're meant to see, you see. Whatever you're meant to learn, you learn. That you're here for you and for your animals, and that your highest and greatest good is served. Because above all, you're in your own driver's seat. We're all in our own driver's seat. It's not up to some angels outside of us. So, okay. So with that, I want to say thank you to the panelists and reintroduce them too. What we're going to do today is to set the stage for success. To just let you know what we're going to do is each panelist is going to speak for about approximately 15 minutes, or maybe a little more, because Asia, as you guys heard, is not doing well today. So she's just really needing some well-deserved rest. But she has a presence here, and she's given us something to share. And so, we'll still go to Asia at some point. But each person will speak for about 15 minutes. And then when we're done, we will open the stage and we'll do Q&A. So you guys can definitely have a chance to do some really great learning. And we'll get to that, for the last probably 45 minutes of our time here together. Then if you haven't already, where's the box? Make sure, if you would like to enter your name in here. We're just doing a free raffle. So everybody on the panel has brought some really fabulous gifts, and we're going to raffle those off just by pulling your name. So if you haven't already, just put your name in there if you want to participate. Okay, so with that, we're going to start with Anne. So I'm going to reintroduce Anne. Hi, Armighty.
Hi.
Welcome back. We're glad to see you, or welcome here. And here's Dr. Sarah. Yeah, you guys come on in. All right, we're just getting started. So we just did like the what to expect, okay? So we're going to start with Anne, and I'm just going to reintroduce Anne Marie Hoff. So Anne Marie Hoff has been with me on this panel many years now. I've been hosting this panel for, like 4 years, I think. And every year we offer something new, some new insights and new learning, and Anne Marie always has some wonderful, wonderful contribution to make here. I'm so glad she's back here again this year. Anne Marie Hoff, as you heard, is a well-known intuitive, empathic animal communicator, an artist, beautiful artwork. Go to her booth. What's your booth number? Oh, she doesn't know her booth number. On the third floor, Anne Marie Hoff. Go check out her artwork. She's an author and a motivational speaker who works with a wide variety of animals, guides, angels, and people. So, Anne Marie, when you have about 5 minutes, I'll give you the flag here. Okay. 2 or 3 minutes to wrap. And then.
Hello, everyone. This does work. This is my dog, Lucy, and she tried to heal her dog sitter's breast cancer last year. And in doing that, got very, very sick. And she's almost totally better now. She got valley fever after her autoimmune disease and has a little lesion in her leg. So we're telling her to use her leg today because that was our promise, is if she got to come, she had to use her leg. And she's doing pretty good with it. And again, you can do this with your dog too. What I do with Lucy is I make my mind like I like to make it a clear green room. I don't know why, but that's what it is. And then I see what comes in there. And what I use is the name and the vibration of the name. And Lori's absolutely right. After I do that, I wait and I listen. And depending on the animals, some animals will send you more pictures, and some animals will give you more words. It's harder when it's your animal and you're living with it and you don't know. I started as a medium of people, and it was real easy because people would be talking about what happened in Connecticut, and I was like, I have never been to Connecticut. So I knew it wasn't mine, and it's harder with your animals. The other thing you can do, though, is start trying to listen for a little bit difference in the cadence of thought, because everybody has a little bit different vibration. And your dogs and cats and horses will have different vibration than your thoughts do. So that's another way I pick it out. And dogs, they come with a purpose. I've never talked to a dog for the last 15 years I've been doing this that they didn't have a purpose for their human. And we are here on a spiritual quest and a spiritual journey, and they want to assist us in the worst way. And I've even talked to dogs that will die to help their human complete their purpose. So they take it very, very seriously. Lucy's purpose is to be a ambassador for dogs, if you will. And if she comes down in the crowd, she'll probably talk to each and every one of you because that's what she thinks she needs to do. And who am I to tell her that it's different? So the other thing I wanted to share with you is I've been doing this 15 years now, and my book is finally out. It was out last year, but Lucy was sick, so I wasn't promoting it. This is Animal Lover. And in there I talk about reincarnation with animals because they do reincarnate. And about 5 years in, I started running into animals that I'd helped pass coming back. And I talked to some other animal communicators, and they were seeing the same thing. And so I think that's very exciting because there again, our animals are here as our teachers. And I believe that they're here. They don't live as long as us because we can see that they die and come back. And with the human, we're never going to really realize that. So they're great teachers for us in the fact that reincarnation exists. And when people's dogs or cats come back, they either have a birthmark on where they died. They're marked the same. I had a cat that had 2 white paws in front and a white paw in back, and half her eye was blind. She came back as a baby horse who had 3 white socks and was half ice blue in that one eye. And when I said her name, which was Pee-wee, she stood on her back legs and came hopping forward to me, which I've never had a horse do. And I realized she wanted to be held. And she had gotten run over as a cat, and she just thought a horse body wouldn't get run over. So it was a really good thing to do. So you run into stuff like that, too. I also like the one thing, like with Lucy being sick, it's really good to have a medico-intuitive work with your animal. And there's a couple things. First of all, you can find out how the dog's feeling or the horse is feeling. I work with a couple vets doing injection sites in the legs for their horses because you can tell they're limping. You can't tell how they hurt and where they feel. I'm empathic, and a lot of you are too. You can feel that. You can tell them where to do the shot, and that is everything. The other thing is I talk to the angels and the guides, and they have some more information from the outside, both of why the disease is happening and what you can do about it. I believe that everything that comes into the physical body starts in the emotional and spiritual body. There's nothing that manifests in the physical body first. So you take care of the symptoms on the physical body, but she wants to talk. But to manifest, you have to get rid of the thing that's manifesting it too, or it will show up in another way. And we see that again and again. I'm a little nervous because right now 1 in 3 dogs are getting cancer. And we've got an epidemic for some reason, and we've got to address that. And I don't know, I think part of it is the chemicals in our atmosphere, and some of it I talk to dogs are standing in front of their owner's cancer. So when I work with people and their pets, a lot of animals that are acting out, you come in the house and there's a lot of turmoil and trauma. And that cannot but help affect your pets. They're very simple, and well, simple is a good word for it, but they're very, very vibrationally clean. They can't lie. And so if they're in a situation where there's a lot of drama, they act out. And almost every time I come into a behavioral situation, 90% of the time it's something the human's doing. It's the dog and the cat not being able to handle what's going on in the house and acting out in some way. Or sometimes it's just stuff they don't like and things like that too. I found dogs are very different than cats. I don't know if everybody agrees with this, but cats will get even and they get pissed. I had been doing the Humane Society stuff, so I'd been talking about 90% dogs, and I took an ad out in Cat Fancy and got all these cats. And they are really different. They tell me that dying is like walking from the kitchen to the kitchen to the living room. And I've talked to lost cats that have been almost dead, and they would rather die than walk back to their owner. They're like, yeah, that's an hour walk, that's a long, I'd rather just die and come back next year. So they're, and I don't usually know how to tell that to their owner because we're so attached to body. But they aren't. And so they come back clean, they come and go at will. And yet they don't like to have you there when they die. So if your cat is letting you be around when they die, that's a great honor. They don't like to do that with people around. So that's another thing to know with that. Most horses I talk to are ambassadors too, and they come in to work with people. They also come in to hold that energy, that vibration in the planet of that loving, kind energy with also a lot of power. And I had a bird this year that wanted to come back as an eagle. He was a parakeet. And he said he wanted to know what it felt like to fly like that. And he also wanted to hold the space of being an eagle because he didn't know if they were going to be around in 100 years. So he wanted to get to be an eagle while it could still happen. And we have very brave souls like that on the planet right now that are helping us and holding the space for love in many, many different ways in the animal community. And I thank you all for being here. Am I? Okay. Lost dogs and cats.
If you want to take a break and then we can come back, you can do that too.
Okay, I'll do lost dogs and cats. I went 5 things on my book. One of them was lost pets, and I have followed lost animals in Canada, Australia, and Great Britain. I found them over the phone, and you are always connected to what you love. It's never not a part of you. So when I call somebody up and make that connection with them, I can usually feel where their pet is. I also, nothing's lost in God's world. And so I use Jesus, St. Anthony, whoever's available, to locate them and keep them safe. So the first thing when you have a lost animal, put protection around them. Keep them safe. Don't just leave them be out there. Put energy around them. After you do that, see where they are. And usually they don't give you a good cross street. I work with a couple of other psychics. I've got a psychic that's really good that gives me cross streets. And then we get the Google map and we start looking. And I've found every lost dog I've looked for with the exception of stolen dogs. And that is particularly heartbreaking because these people take these dogs and either resell them or give them as a gift. And I know I had one dog in New York that said he had crossed 5 bridges. And the woman's like, well, that's what he'd need to do to get over to New Jersey. And he was gone. And I saw him locked behind a door in a house after the front door. Because sometimes what I do with those people is I psychically shame them to see if they will give the pet back. And it works more than you'd think. I did it with a couple of the Bichon rescues because I work with a lot of the rescues. And the dogs mysteriously appear at a shopping mall, like out of the clear blue sky. So you can psychically shame them and say, you know, give that dog back. You're not supposed to have it. Because, again, we're all connected. You can feel how somebody feels and what they're doing. And one of the reasons I don't work murders, I'll work a murder if I get one, but I don't like to work murders because that's that real icky, sticky energy usually. And those people try to follow you back when you're in their psychic field and know who you are. And that's a little too creepy for me. I like working for animals because they can't lie. And they also will totally clear their energy. Like if something's going on with Lucy, I can clear it and it's gone. With people, we are our story. And so, you know, you have fibromyalgia, you have autoimmune diseases, you know that. And you don't, that's how you define yourself. You don't just let go of that like that usually. If you do, you can come work with me because I love people like that. But most of us, we are our history and we don't let go of it right away. And that becomes an issue in moving forward. And with dogs, so they'll let go of it and they'll totally move into present time and we've got something new going on. So that's amazing. And I think I'm done right now.
All right. Woohoo.
Thank you.
That's Anne-Marie Hoff. Okay, so we're going to go to we'll come back around for questions and answers. We're going to go to our next speaker. We're going to have Sandy speak next. So I just want to introduce you again to Sandy because we were still unsettled while we were doing first introductions. So Sandy Rakowitz is an animal communication and wellness coach. She guides and trains animal lovers and animal care professionals to develop their natural, intuitive, and psychic abilities and understand their animals' viewpoints and awaken their life purpose. And if I could just give my own personal plug, I've just known Sandy from a distance for quite a while. I really just think so highly of you. And I'm so glad she's here. This is her first time at the Conscious Life Expo. So with that, I've taken a class with her once before. I just thought it was really wonderful. So Sandy, for you.
Thanks, Lori. Thanks for that beautiful intro. Hi, everybody. How are you guys doing this morning? Have you been having fun? Yeah? Yeah. So I like to bridge things from the physical realm into the spiritual and into our animals' viewpoints, or with our animals' viewpoints. So what I'd like to do is something is a little bit different. I really feel it's very important for us to understand the viewpoints of our animals, right? And we often think of that from a conceptual, a thought, even feelings, right? But we don't always understand it from an internal experience, right? And so I like to help people understand what it's like even when you reach out and touch one of your animals, right? From their perspective, right? So that we get a better understanding of how we are in ourselves and the qualities with which we reach out to the other. Because we know that our thoughts are energy, our heart, feelings, emotions are energy, right? Even the pictures that we see, all of this is energy that exchanges back and forth all the time, right? Yeah. And so take just for a minute, and I like to I bring in a lot of holistic tools. I find that in addition to being able to telepathically work with animals, I like to have things to give people so that you can do, not just conceptually, not just even the feelings, but have those actual things to do. So often we feel helpless or not knowing what to do to assist. And there's so many tools available that are easy to learn and readily at our fingertips. So I'm talking about fingertips. So what I'd like to do is have you try, if you want, just from your shoulder to your elbow. Just do a couple of strokes so that it feels a comfortable pressure. Do it 3 or 4 times. And just notice what that feels like, and then pause. Notice if there's a difference between the 2 arms. I'm going to do a sequence of things. Sometimes people will feel sensation. Sometimes people feel heat or temperature. Sometimes a sense of comfort or agitation, right? It depends on where you are and what you're experiencing. So now go on the other arm, go from your shoulder all the way down to along your upper arm, across your elbow, all the way down your forearm to your fingertips and off. And do that 3 or 4 times. And find your breath. Breathing's really important. Now go back to your other arm. Just do from the shoulder to your elbow again. Notice what your body feels like. Notice, do you feel a difference between one arm and the other? What kinds of things are you feeling? I see heads nodding. Call out. Okay, so what she said, if you couldn't hear, is the arm where she went from the shoulder to the elbow felt like it was cut off at the elbow, and the other arm felt like it was whole. Anybody else have a different experience? Yeah. So she said that the one where she did from the shoulder all the way to the fingertips felt more comfortable and more relaxed. So think about this. Who has had a dog or a cat or a horse who doesn't like their feet touched? Right? So the qualities with which we touch can make a difference in our internal experience. Often, when we have an animal who doesn't like to be touched down their leg, where do we end up touching them? We don't go down to their toes, right? Most of the time, until we have to trim their toes or hooves or something of that nature, right? And then we have that association with not so fun experiences, right? So if we take just a few moments of being able to do these strokes, right? Instead of just petting, okay, let's try this. I want you to I like people to have a comparison of from one thing to another. So if you just pat your shoulder as if you were patting your cat's head or your dog's face or your horse's neck, right? And then pause. And what's that like? You know, right? So, you see where I'm going with this, right? When we've got somebody whose energy isn't all the way down to their toes, which is what happens, there's a couple of things about not liking their toes touched. Often, there's a lot of tension, there's anxiety, even if we don't see it visually, right? When we have anxiety and tension, our energy gets pulled up to our core, right? Just like people, and you have less energy all the way down to your toes or your hands or your paws or your hooves. There's less circulation. It's often cooler to the touch, right? And it becomes more sensitive to touch then. You become more attuned, like the sensations, you'll feel them more, okay? And when we can go and just stroke, long, firm strokes from the head all the way down the back, all the way down the tail, even using the side of your hands, the back of your hands along the sides, and then go down as if my leg were, this were a leg, going down all the way to the toes, and start doing that, you're going to help your animal come more into the physical body, connect them from head to toe, literally head to tail, help them map the body with a greater level of awareness, right? Just like for us, just like when you went from your, remember this, when you're doing those strokes, how it felt. So when you're stroking from the shoulder all the way to the tips of your fingers and you felt more comfortable, more relaxed, more whole, that's going to be true for your animals as well, right? Let's take this a step further. Imagine that your head has fur. So decide if it's short hair, long hair, right? Horse hair, dog hair, cat hair. And start doing some strokes. Whether it's through your own hair or you're imagining that there's fur here. And do a series of strokes so that I'm going to do it as if I had fur that's the length of my hair, right? And I'm imagining what it feels like to have fur on my head. And I'm doing these strokes, and I'm just noticing what that feels like, what the sensations are like. What do people notice? It's comforting. Anything? Pardon? Fragmented. Anything else? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. Yep. So, and if you're, what she said is if you're going against the grain of the fur, the direction of the fur, or with the direction of the fur, can have a different experience, right? So let's add another element. Breathe into your heart. Find that softness. Oh, did you feel the room soften? Wasn't that nice? And really find that soft connection, that loving connection with one of your animals, or all of your animals. When I say that, people are like, well, how do I choose which one? Right? And feel that in your body, not just your heart. Really let it upwell through all of your cells. Notice what that feels like. Let that come into your hands, all the way to your fingertips. All the cells in your body are communicating that connection with love with your animal. Now, do a stroke from your shoulder down to your fingertips, feeling that connection allowing that energy to be there with all the way through your fingertips with that sense of love. And do that several times and notice if that feels different than when you were doing the strokes before, not really paying attention to this element. And what's that like? It's good. She's blissing out over here. People feel the distinction. So oftentimes when we go, hi, 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 right? It's different, right? And you know, I mean, you guys know you're here, so you love your animals, right? You're here at this panel. You want to have another deeper level of connection. So I'm sure that you don't just always go, hi, 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 and mindlessly connect with your animals. I'm not trying to say that. But when we bring our attention and our intention, allowing that upwelling through our hearts all the way to our hands, that makes such a difference in the quality of how we connect. When we add that to doing strokes the length of the body, this can have such a clearing effect, allowing places that may have been stagnant to move. When we do that, when we add that quality of that love, that contact and connection through our heart, all the way through all of our cells, we're going to have an even deeper, more full experience with our animal. And they know it. They feel that, right? So the quality with which we come to meet and greet and be with our animals makes such a difference. Imagine if you are not feeling all the way into your feet and there's physical tension and you're met with that quality and that stroking, it becomes an invitation to come deeper into their own body, right? We all resonate with each other all the time. So if we're allowing ourselves to come more deeply into all the way down to our feet and our toes, through our whole body, with that vibration, with that connection in ourselves, through our hands, our animals are going to more readily resonate with that. So when I work with, how are you doing on time? So when I work with my coaching clients or in classes or in my groups, I do a lot of these types of exercises, bridging these examples, right? And I've got a training series in animal communication, in animal energy systems, and pet hospice, where I walk people through a lot of these steps. And a lucky raffle winner is going to be getting those training series. So really, it's simple, but not always easy to bring our sense of mindfulness to these things. You were able to go into your heart in a moment, right? Connect with your animals, get a different type of experience of what it might be like when you're stroking, when you're connecting on a physical level, and how that energy exchanges back and forth. If you have, I just want to say a word about super sensitive animals, right? So species like, well, it could be a cat, it could be a dog, it could be a bird, it could be a bunny, right? That working off the body, so I can connect with somebody in the front or in the back or a cat in another location across the country, so can you, right? And do that same intention and convey so much and be of such assistance without having to push, but have it be an encouragement and an invitation. So, thank you.
Wow, that was really fabulous. Thank you so much. Now you guys know why I brought her here, right? What a gift to us. And it's really true because, you know, I've been saying for a long time, we are learning to speak a universal language of love, which when I started my business was a dog training business. This was 10 years ago. And I used to make my slogan, learn to speak wolf, the universal language of love. And it's a language of energy. And you just demonstrated that so brilliantly, because that is the language that our animals speak. Can they speak in words? Yes, they can translate. They have a higher consciousness that can translate things into words. Many times they do, especially more domesticated animals. But what their primary language is this language of energy. And that, and what you just taught us there and demonstrated us and help us to experience ourselves is what our animals are teaching us, really, literally. That was just so brilliant and beautiful, because it's that simple. It's that when we come with this gentle, loving approach energetically in all of our experiences, and, you know, let's substitute animals as all animals right now. Like, let's include the human variety of animals in this. Imagine if we interacted with other humans that way in all our endeavors. And that's what we're learning by opening this heart center of ours and really speaking the language of the heart. That's the language of energy. It's not a language of the left analytical brain. We still need those left analytical brains in our new reality. This is really just, wow, I can't go on about that enough. So wonderful. Thank you. All right, so we're going to go to our next speaker. Armighty, you ready? All right, I'm going to introduce Armighty again. And this is Dr. Armighty May. Now, let me just say, I've worked with Dr. Armighty. I met her about 5 or maybe 7 years ago, and she came to my first presentation I ever did at the Conscious Life Expo, and that was about animals in the afterlife. And she was in my audience, and that's when we met. And since then, I've been in the same community with her about vegans and healthy living and respecting and honoring animals through what we consume. So Dr. Armighty May has provided house call services for pets in Los Angeles, offering Western medicine, Chinese herbs, and acupuncture since 2007. And by the way, I remember when Armighty became a Reiki practitioner too. So she does practice complementary energy. You might not practice it, but she definitely is in the complementary. So you're going to share today. Yes? I'm so happy. This is Armighty's first time on our panel. So Dr. Armighty May, thanks for being here.
Thank you, Lori. It's great to be here. How many of you consider yourselves guardians of a dog or a cat? Great. Anyone with a pet chicken out there? Oh, great. All right. Well, I focus on dogs and cats in my practice, but I certainly include all animals in my circle of compassion, and that's why I don't eat them. And I'll be talking a little more about that later on. I'd like to share some tips with you about certain fairly common conditions that I've encountered in my practice as a veterinarian. A lot of things can be prevented if we can detect the signs early enough or change some of the environmental contributors to certain diseases. Health outcomes are really a combination of genetics and the environment, which includes nutrition, toxins in the environment, air quality, water quality, and also the stress that the animal experiences. As was alluded to earlier, the stress of the guardian oftentimes does have an influence on the animal. And I've seen that in cases where animals are acting out behaviorally, doing something inappropriate, also with inappropriate urination in cats. That's quite a common scenario I see where cats are not using the litter box. So what can we do about these situations? One thing is, if there are multiple cats in the household, I would recommend having at least one litter box per cat plus one. And that might seem like a daunting task for people who have many cats, but it's really what they need in order to have the right condition and the space they need for doing that. Now, if you can also use cat attract litter, that will help them to get back into the habit of using the litter box, and that's something you can get at most pet stores, and it has a proprietary blend of herbs that help to get the cat back into the habit of using the litter box. Now, diet is also important when it comes to urinary tract issues, especially with cats. I see a lot of cats who are on all dry diets, and it's not the best for their urinary tract or kidney health. A lot of times we see crystals in the urine because the urine is so concentrated. So then they're at risk for developing stones. And if that happens, they have to undergo surgery. So we can prevent these things by making their diet moister, fluid-rich, so that they're less likely to have crystals forming and then less likely to have stones forming. Even if they don't develop stones, the crystals themselves can be uncomfortable. In dogs more than cats, we see crystals when there's an underlying urinary tract infection. So keeping them at a healthy body weight is important, because when pets are overweight, they're more likely to get infections. They're also more at risk for cancer, and as we heard earlier, that's becoming an epidemic. So keeping them at a healthy body weight is really important, getting them enough exercise, and cats need exercise too. So even though you may not be taking them on a walk, you can play with them. You can use laser pointer or toys that bounce around, just as long as they're not ingesting a string foreign body, because cats have a tendency to be attracted to stringy objects, whether it's tinsel from a Christmas tree or ribbon, string, dental floss even, and if it gets stuck in their intestinal tract, that will be an expensive vet bill to go in and remove that surgically. One time we had a cat, when I was working at a 24-hour hospital, we had a cat who came in for vomiting, and the cat had actually swallowed a needle with a thread attached to it. But luckily, we had an endoscope at this particular hospital, and one of the doctors was able to retrieve the thread and needle endoscopically, so the cat did not have to go through surgery, thankfully. Now, some people, and I'm probably no one in this room, but there's some people who don't understand that certain medications can be very toxic to cats. We had a case of a cat who had been given a Tylenol, which is very bad to give a cat, and unfortunately the cat died from organ failure because of the Tylenol. And the person was well-intentioned, thinking that the cat was in pain and wanted to relieve the discomfort, but didn't realize that that was poisonous to give to the cat. So whenever your animals are in discomfort, always consult with a veterinarian before administering any kind of medication, particularly if it's not labeled for that particular species. Same with flea products. Some of the flea products that are designed for dogs can be very toxic to cats, and if they don't receive prompt care, they can actually die from that too. Speaking of toxins, there are even plant toxins that can be an issue. For example, lilies. We see cats, even small quantities of lilies can put them into kidney failure. Antifreeze also very kidney toxic. So keep those out of reach. Cats are notorious for wanting to get into things, and so if they're into chewing on plants, you can get kitty grass for them, and that's perfectly acceptable for them to eat that, so they can have something that's good for them. But if you're in doubt, I would recommend going online to aspca.org and looking up their list of toxic and non-toxic plants. Now, another thing that I've seen quite frequently in practice is thyroid disorders. Especially in cats, we see a lot of hyperthyroidism. Cats have ravenous appetites, they're hungry as can be, they're eating up a storm, yet they're still losing weight. And so what's happening is the thyroid is overactive. And that can be treated with medication. There's also radioactive iodine therapy that can be used to treat that. However, how can we prevent this? So there are some suggestions that some of the chemical flame retardants in furniture that is commonly found in mattresses and sofas and such can have an effect on thyroid disorders in people as well. So I would suggest, if you have the funds, to invest in an organic mattress and an organic sofa. I spent a few $1,000s recently myself to buy a completely 100% organic cotton mattress. So think about that. There's a website, earthsake.com, where you can order those. And that may be a good investment for not only your health, but the health of your animal companions. In dogs, we tend to see hypothyroidism, which is the opposite. They gain weight, they're very sluggish, and so they also need medication to correct that, although sometimes it can be balanced with herbs too. Another condition I see fairly commonly is arthritis, especially in dogs. And that's where I use a lot of herbs and acupuncture, and I can also use Western medications, but sometimes the Western medications may have undesirable side effects. So acupuncture is from Chinese medicine. It has thousands of years of history supporting its efficacy in humans as well as horses, dogs, and other animals. And here, I don't know if you can see very well, but this is a chart that shows the meridians for dog acupuncture points. There are 14 meridians, which are basically like energy pathways that flow along the body in specific areas, and there are specific points along these pathways called acupuncture points, which when stimulated either through needle, it could be a dry needle, it could be moxibustion, which is where they put a little herb on the needle and it can be lit to produce some smoke. Otherwise, there's also laser acupuncture and acupressure, which can be done by anyone who knows where those points are. You can do that at home without acupuncture needle, especially for animals who may not be receptive or cooperative for the acupuncture. So massage therapy is another thing I utilize along with acupuncture. When I give acupuncture treatments, I follow it with the massage. And she mentioned some really good points about going from the head to tail and having that flow. So that's definitely useful to use those techniques. Also around the ears, there are certain points right behind the base of the ear. There's a point called An Shen, which is a classical acupuncture point for calming. And so you can use your fingers and gently massage the ears, and that brings blood flow to the area and it helps relax them. Then here, this point is Bai Wei. This is another classical Chinese acupuncture point that helps with calming, as well as GV20, governing vessel 20, which is right on top of the head, and that helps with relaxation as well. So when we're doing acupuncture, we often use those points initially to let the animal get into a relaxed state and then more receptive to the rest of the treatment. When I have really anxious animals, I will recommend the guardian use Rescue Remedy beforehand, and that's a Bach flower essence you can get at health food stores. You can either put a few drops on their gums or put it in the drinking water, and that will hopefully put them into a more receptive state for the treatment. Then I also show guardians how they can massage their animals at home in between treatments so that they can be active participants in the healing process. So when it comes to other health concerns that I've seen commonly, dental disease is another big one. Dental disease affects pets quite commonly because most people don't brush their dogs' and cats' teeth. And it starts really when they're young to train them to be receptive to that. Not all animals are going to be tolerant of it, especially when they're adults and they already have inflamed gums, periodontal disease, loose and infected teeth that may need to be extracted. So it's really important when you get your animal to get him or her accustomed to that. You can make it a pleasurable experience. It doesn't have to be a long, drawn-out procedure. It can be just a couple seconds even, but on a daily basis, that you swish around removing plaque using a gauze or a finger toothbrush or even a soft bristle baby brush, and just scraping away the plaque on each of the sides and the front of the teeth. And this is important particularly in small breed dogs like the Bichons and the Poodles and all those. They're much more prone to having periodontal disease and eventually needing to have extractions if their dental health is not maintained. There are also some treats that you can give. There are dental rinses you can put in their drinking water. There's a great product I recommend from a website called healthymouth.com, and it's approved by the Veterinary Oral Health Council, and it has organic fruit extracts. It's all natural, and it's made by a small company, so it's definitely geared in the right direction of quality control. So I would recommend something like that to put in their drinking water so that it prevents tartar from building up as well. And that way you won't have to have them go under anesthesia as frequently for a full professional teeth cleaning. But it is important to get that done from time to time as well. So now I'd like to move on and talk a little bit about nutrition. As I mentioned earlier, I'm a vegan, and I've been vegan for 15 years. I decided when I read Diet for a New America by John Robbins, and I learned about the cruelty to egg-laying hens and dairy cows, as well as the environmental and health effects of eating a meat and dairy-based diet, I didn't want to participate in that anymore, and I wanted to live in accordance and alignment with my deepest held values of respect and compassion for all living beings. So that includes cows, chickens, pigs, goats, and other animals who are traditionally thought of as food animals. When I go to see these animals in a farm sanctuary setting, it's very comforting to have that connection with another living being who feels just like I feel, who has the capacity to suffer, who has the capacity to feel pleasure. And ultimately, we're all creatures here on this earth having this experience, and why not make the best of it? So when it comes to what we feed our pets, a lot of times people say, well, aren't dogs omnivores or carnivores, and shouldn't they be eating meat? Well, actually, a lot of dogs have allergies to meat, as it turns out. And I've seen a very common occurrence of skin allergies in dogs. Now, granted, a lot of that has to do with flea allergy, but food allergy plays a significant role as well. And so if they have a chicken or beef allergy, switching them to a vegetarian or vegan diet can actually make their skin health improve. Okay, so transitioning them to a vegan diet can be done over the course of 1 to 2 weeks. There are a number of reputable brands on the market like VDog and Nature's Recipe, PetGuard that have vegan formulas for dogs. Also Evolution, which can be ordered through petfoodshop.com. And you can also supplement that with home cooking. Just make sure that they're getting a variety of what they need so they're not going to be deficient in anything. So I do recommend that they continue to be on some commercially available dog food. With cats, it is harder. I actually have my cats on a vegan diet, but they would have to be monitored as far as their urine is concerned because they're more acidic naturally. But it can be done for cats as well. And I'd be happy to talk with anyone more about that. But as far as dogs being omnivores, they have evolved the ability to digest carbohydrates, unlike wolves. In fact, studies have shown that there's actually additional genes that dogs have that enable them to have the ability to digest carbohydrates. And this evolved because of their symbiotic relationship with humans. And when you think about the incidence of cancer that's going on and what goes into a lot of pet food, slaughterhouse rejects, diseased animal parts from low-grade or poor grade meat that wouldn't be fit for human consumption, it's really not that surprising that we're seeing the cancer rates we're seeing. So again, to sum up, prevention is key. Choosing good food, water that's filtered, preferably good air, organic supplies, organic furniture, and of course as much love and happiness as you can exude and share with your beloved companion. So thank you very much. And if you'd like brochures, I have some, so feel free to come up and grab one.
Thanks, Almighty. So I just want to go back to something you said. First of all, isn't it wonderful that veterinarians are becoming more conscious? Isn't it awesome? Don't we totally, as we the consumer, the user, their clients, don't we want more veterinarians to get really conscious and start looking at complementary and alternative ways of doing things besides just cut it out or give them a pill? And this is literally what you're saying. You're talking about prevention, which is what doctors are, I mean, on some level, they're supposed to be. I think we've evolved out of that, right? Just pop a pill or cut it out philosophy is not working for us anymore. And I just love Armighty because she's really showing us, she's living proof that she's walking her talk and she's incorporating other ways of healing, holistic approaches. So including, the acupuncture and massage and energy and consciousness. But could we just go to one thing that you said that I think is so important, the flea remedies.
Oh, yeah.
across the board. If it's a drop that you put on the skin, would you agree? This is bad stuff. Drops on the skin.
Well, it's tough because sometimes fleas can really cause havoc, and some fleas have become resistant to some of the medications. But diatomaceous earth is a natural remedy that can be used, which is a white powder, and that it's actually diatom, so it's completely natural. But just make sure they don't inhale the dust from it, because that could irritate the airways. But you can purchase diatomaceous earth from nurseries and pet stores.
You can put that on them externally, and then you can also put it in your carpets and on your furniture and vacuum it up, the diatomaceous earth. And there are, and I know Sandy talks all about herbs and, essential oils. There are wonderful oils that do fabulous, effective jobs. You know, you can talk to Sandy about that afterwards. I mean, you want to mention some of them, like rosemary combined with lavender. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's quite a few different essential oils that are helpful. And before I talk about which ones, I just need to say that in using essential oils with animals, especially, and with people, the purity really makes a huge difference. You can't just go to any store and get whatever they have available and think that it's going to be helpful, because it can actually be dangerous with different animals because of the way that the oils are distilled. It makes a huge difference into the quality. So there's a couple of favorites that I use. One is called Purification. It was originally made for air purification, but it has a blend of essential oils, single oils made into a blend that I use, taking a couple of drops and putting it like along their back and neck and shoulders. Lavender would be another one, another blend called Melrose. Rosemary, as mentioned, and there's obviously citronella is one of them. The company that I personally use and stand by, I've been using their oils for like 18 years, is Young Living Essential Oils.
Nice, great stuff, yeah. Okay, beautiful. So we are up to Dr. Sarah. So I'm going to do an introduction. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Armighty. Okay, so I'm going to do a quick reintroduction of Dr. Sarah, and I'm going to also tell you just a little bit about my personal experience. Is that okay? I just love, love, love Dr. Sarah. She is awesome. Where is your booth, Dr. Sarah? You're on the top.
M15 in the mezzanine.
In the mezzanine on the top, up where all the lectures are. Okay, so Anne is at M14.
Wonderful.
And by the way, let me just give you a quick, for new people who walked in, make sure you, before we do the raffle, that you get your name in here. We're doing a raffle today. All right, so Dr. Sarah Larson, MD, is a third-generation palm reader, medical intuitive, medium, clairvoyant, humanitarian, and transformational speaker. She received a medical degree from the Medical University of the Americas. All right, so let me just say, Dr. Sarah Larson is not a traditional, necessarily animal communicator, but she's so highly evolved being. And I've had a reading with her more than once. I want to tell you the first time I ever really knew Dr. Sarah Larson was at the Conscious Life Expo, probably like 5 years ago or more. I don't even remember. And I see her passing in the lobby, and I just throw my hand in front of her. Look at my hand. Tell me, you know, like what people do, right? Give me my 5-minute reading, my little. And she answers my question about that evening, and she was on the dime accurate, something that I had no idea about, that there's no way I could know. And it actually manifested as real. And since then, I've been back with her, and we've done panels together and other great presentations. I absolutely love her. She's going to be such a wonderful contribution here. So please give your attention to Dr. Sarah Larson.
I want to thank you. I love our videos on YouTube. There's so before the class that we just recently taught was even done, people in class were demanding the video. So we had a backlog of videos, and we wound up putting that one up.
We did a class, let me just clarify.
Yes.
We did a class together because Dr. Sarah Larson does Thursday night events.
Correct.
And we did a class about animals, animal telepathy, connecting with your animals, to her regular community at the Thursday night event. That's at the Gateway.
It was amazing. And last night when I was sharing that I'm coming up to this panel, and it's someone said to me, is it possible to communicate with your animal and to just learn that in 2 hours? And it's really important to get how beautiful your heart is and how your heart is able to communicate with all time and space. If you learn to communicate with your own heart, you can communicate with anything. It's amazing to work with Lori and just to hear everyone up here and to hear how beautifully active your heart is for interpreting what's going on with each animal. I have a 10-year-old daughter who has our baby Angel, and so I'm technically a grandmother. And it's the most exciting thing to watch my daughter grow up with this beautiful, tiny little, we thought it was a Chihuahua. It's a rescue dog. It turned out to be like a Chihuahua Terrier. It was supposed to be this big. It's about this big. She gives it haircuts and she communicates, and we're so in love with our grandbaby, my husband and I, with her daughter, that level of communication that's happening with each other even expands. One of the reasons that you have amazing pets in your life is because you have a soul contract with them. The soul contract with whatever the energy's never created, energy's never destroyed, and the energy that we're carrying in our hearts when these bodies go away go back into being connected to everything. And we go around feeling as energy forms, what's the best way in order for me to connect with myself, with my mission, with my voice, with my love? And so often we find that an animal will work so much easier than a human. When I speak to Angel, it's so precious, but when I watch my husband or my grandfather interact, my big, tough, army grandfather, it's like, oh, cute little voices coming through. There's, and my husband, again, big Norwegian guy, and he's just loving this pet, and a part of his heart becomes accessible that wasn't there before. Our daughter, when she got Angel, wound up gaining confidence and friendship. She's a bright, darling, amazing girl. I didn't think she could get any brighter. And then she got Angel, and more of her heart became available for every person that she came in contact with. And what's so beautiful, as an MD and a palm reader, I started as a palm reader because at around age 3, I didn't talk a whole lot. And all of a sudden, this woman walks into my grandparents' home. We lived with my grandparents in Pakistan, rural Pakistan, and I just lit up, started speaking in full sentences. And my grandmother took me with her wherever she went and delivered. She was the midwife. She was the local healer. We had so many animals that we loved, and we got to participate and play with and hear communication happening. So from those early years, I could see things, experience things. And then later on, when in high school and college, when communicating with others' pets and my own pets, I knew things others couldn't possibly know. And I went to med school to help me make sense of a lot of the energy that I saw. And when my grandmother passed away, I didn't know how to deal with her death. I'd never read palms for her when she was alive, even though I got to train. And so the first thing I did was go down to Santa Monica Pier as a way to process and begin reading palms in her honor. So I'm a medical doctor reading palms on Santa Monica Pier. And I didn't realize that the communication, everyone's pets shows up in their palms. And those that have pets are able to communicate at a much deeper level with each other, with their heart, with energy because either we're more sensitive, those of us that have more pets, or the intensity with which we love and feel around our pets. That heart opening allows us to communicate with parts of ourselves we hadn't remembered until our pet came into our lives. Energy's never created or destroyed, and when you came down here, you knew, and your pets knew, which ones were coming in and how they were going to come be with you. When they're here, one of the biggest things that they do is help us release the day-to-day trauma. We have tissue, basically thin layers of socks around all of our muscles, around all of our organs, just this thin layer of tissue, and it stays flexible and moving as long as the energy in our hearts and in those organs are moving, these little sleeves or these little socks that go around every organ. Our pets, when they come into our lives and we have a traumatic experience and we're holding them and they're feeling what we're feeling, they get up and they shake. They shake, 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 shake. They shake out our trauma because as we're petting them, we are releasing the energy that we're feeling, and our pets walk around taking whatever energy that is and shaking it off, or being able to go outside and run it into the ground when we no longer have continued our connection with the frequency of the earth. They still have it, and our pets bring the frequency of the earth to our hearts. And I think one of the most important things to really get is each of us is only as ill as our secrets. Whatever we can't share, that's how ill we are in our physical body. That's an area that energy gets trapped in. And our beautiful pets, they come and they sit on our laps, and we tell them exactly what's happened day to day. So each one of us that has pets, and this has been shown, live a lot longer, have a lot less stress. And those tissue, the fascia, the socks that wrap around our organs tend to be more flexible. So it's an amazing gift that you give yourself to connect in with and to listen to what your pet is communicating, and also to communicate with them. The easiest way to do this is to feel into your own heart and to feel what you love about anything that is living, anything that's around, something that connects you, that moves freely into your own heart. And we know now that the heart, the longer and more connected you are to your heart, the further and deeper you can reach into the field that's timeless. So our mind makes up time and says today, tomorrow, yesterday. But when we close our eyes and we imagine something, our body experiences that in real time. Our pets are constantly in real time, even though they have imagination. But when they're sleeping, when they're awake, they're in real time, right now. Our heart lives in the moment and has access to, for everyone, at least in 3 days in either direction. 3 days of the past, 3 days of the future is still in this fluid space. And this is this is the work of Greg Braden speaking about the heart connection, Heart Math Institute speaking about it. But when you're sitting with your pet, and if you're relaxed and you catch an image, they are giving you some of the information that's so necessary for you for the next 3 days. This is just an important thing to realize. They're always connected in the moment, Their heart is available. When your heart connects with their heart, it's two like hearts getting together. And what's available in that moment winds up manifesting and creating out into reality. Everything's energy. I love the idea around water. Dr. Emoto was celebrated here yesterday, and we put our thoughts into water. It forms a crystal, and then we're 70 to 90% water, and that goes into us and connects with all the water that's in there. And water has perfect memory. Before we give Angel water, we bless the water. Before we give ourselves water, we bless the water. And we want for her to have the best experience. We want for each of us to have this communication, connection from the heart. So if she's got fleas, we talk to our water. We connect with the water, and we wash her in this water that we've now really experienced love and healing around that. Everything that you want out in the environment, it's so simple. We can't make money from it. It's so simple. That idea that water holds that energy, and you can communicate at every level through your heart, through water, and through your hands, through your pet's eyes, through their shaking, through your own shaking. You're able to release all trauma whenever you're connected into your heart, into the moment. It's incredible what's possible for you. You can read what's going to happen for you the next 3 days and really be tapped in. That's the other day, waking up out of bed, that small, still voice told me, be careful today. You're going to have an accident. And I flashed onto my car on my way to work. And normally I wear crazy heels, and I drive fast, and I have a little car. And I live in Reseda, and I work close to the Santa Monica airport, and I tend to run late. And so that day I'm driving, and I'm like, oh yeah, I took my shoes off. I put them off to the side, and I drove, and I almost merged into another lane the same time someone else was merging. They were a much bigger car. They definitely did not see me. But because I had that alertness, and part of that alertness is because Angel sleeps with us. And when we're resting, it's all of that heart connection is happening. They're mammals. They need to be touched. We're mammals. We need cuddle puddles. And with that, I'm gifting, I hope you'll put it into the raffle, a reading for love. Any at the conference today, you just bring this card back. You get to keep the card, and a reading for love for you. So thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Dr. Sarah. Isn't that fascinating? Our animals are in our palms.
Yeah.
Wow. So when you're looking at someone's palms, you can see what the connection is with their animals.
So the area between your pinky and this top line right here on both hands is representative of your soul contracts that are from your heart. And you will see lines for your animals in your heart. It's amazing that even birds that come to you on a regular basis that you care for show up in your hands. If you have bird feeders, if you have, it's an amazing thing to understand.
And even like a lost animal could show up in there. If you found a lost animal.
Correct.
So all of your contracts with all your animals.
Yes, are right there.
That's fabulous. Isn't that amazing? Wow. Incredible.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, this is why, you can see why I love Dr. Sarah so much. So incredible. All right. So, I guess this makes it my time. I usually kind of go last. And I just want to make a reference again to Asia Voigt. So Asia Voigt, she gave me, what we're going to do is try to work in a little meditation that Asia would like for us to do in her honor, in her absence. So we'll try to work that in. But what I'll do is I'll just say a little bit about her when we get to that, and we'll kind of segue into it. And I'll just start off with what I'm going to talk about first, so we can incorporate both those in. So, okay. So again, my name is Lori Ann Spagna. My booth number is 105 if you want to come and visit me, and it's the main ballroom. And I just want to, for everybody who's here today too, if you want to stay connected with me, I have an email address list on the back table. I'm just outside at the entry. But if you want to, even today, for example, you can, or tonight or this weekend, go to my website at lorispagna.com/free gifts. You can get a free class, an MP3 class on learning to communicate with animals and having a telepathic dialogue with them. It's a 60-minute free class, and it gets to go into really depth in it. There's also another free class there at that same link called Developing Your Intuitive Gifts. So if you want to strengthen and enhance what you're already doing and learn more, so that's lorispagna.com/free gifts. So, okay, so let me just sort of restate a little bit. The premise, the basic underlying work that I do is about the human-animal connection and focusing on the interaction between what happens with human and animals. Because the thing is we love our animals so much. We want to help them, and we want to communicate with them. We want to understand them. We know the bond that we share with them cannot be limited to the fact that they're a fish or a gerbil or a duck or a guinea pig. We know as animal lovers, there is the love between human and animals is not less than the love between human and human. We understand this because we feel it personally. And yet sometimes we don't really understand that what our animal is mirroring for us, showing us, is actually ourselves, versions of ourselves. So we'll see something in them and we'll think that they have something, or they have some issue, or they have some behavior that's not working, or maybe off, or some illness, and we don't realize that it's a reflection of ourselves. And it's an energetic imprint of what we're carrying in our field of who we are. And so at the fundamental core of healing and addressing and communicating with our animals most effectively, we really need to understand ourselves. At the root core of healing our animals, we have to heal ourselves. This is the divine contract that our animals, the animal kingdom as a kingdom, has for us. It's really about that. It's that they understand that we love them so deeply, so intimately, that we would do almost anything for them. And they would do in the same for us, even including taking on our stuff. And so that in doing this, it's almost like their service is to help us see what it is that we can't see, help us understand what we're trapped on or blocked on or locked up in. Makes sense, right? Everybody's with me on this, right? This probably, if you've heard me speak before, this isn't new information. If you've been around the expo, you get that. Everyone and everything is a mirror, because everything is energy. And in this physical reality that we live in, the physical matter is superseded by the non-physical. In other words, the quanta, right? So energetically, our animals are just mirroring what's going on with us. If we don't like a behavior, if we don't like an energy, if there's an illness, we need to look within to heal and resolve it. We can come up with a million reasons in the physical world for what it is and why it exists, and all of them will only be layers on top of what is at the fundamental base. At the fundamental base, the issue is within us. This is the sacred contract that animals have. Okay. So with that said, I just want to share a couple things, because this is actually really beautiful. Because what it means is the divine partnership of the animal and the human is you don't have to just work on healing your animal. If you're healing yourself, your animal is by default healing. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that so empowering? It's like we're so interconnected. It's not like separating. Oh, let me heal my animal and then I'll work on myself. Or let me just work on myself and forget my animal because I can't take care of my animal right now because I'm so wounded. This right is the ultimate gift. It's like as we heal ourselves, our animal naturally receives the healing because we're energetically sharing our space. Okay, so let me say with that, I want to make a reference first to dolphins, what we've witnessed with dolphins in the wild. And I want to just let you know I'm leading a dolphin journey in November in Bimini, the Bahamas. So if you're willing and ready and able to join me, we're going to be doing animal communication and energy healing for animals with the dolphins, planetary energy healing, right? Working with live energy. So please join me. And for anyone who's at the expo, you can get $100 off if you go to my website and sign up by writing my name when you register for that workshop. It's coming up in November, but the flyers are here. Anyway, this is what's been witnessed over and over again with wild dolphins. So people go out and swim with the wild dolphins, and the dolphins, with their incredible, they're using their full brain capacity, all of their left brain and all of their right brain. They have 100% consciousness. They're not here by accident. They're on purpose, right? So even when they sleep, one brain shuts down, the other stays awake. Then they switch. They could consciously choose to leave the planet by consciously, deliberately choosing not to breathe. It's not like us. We have to breathe. If we stop breathing, something in us autonomically will force us to take another breath. Dolphins could actually stop. That's how conscious they are. So anyway, in the wild, what they do is, in the wild swims, they'll surround humans, a whole pod, or a whole group of them, or a subgroup of their pod, and they will let that human heal, right? And then the animals who took on energetically, they'll vibrate energy through the water to heal that one human. Then that part of the swim's over. Then the animals who did the healing are then surrounded by other dolphins. The ones on the inside are now thrashing about to release the energy they just absorbed from the human, while the other dolphins of the pod surround those dolphins in safety, while those inner dolphins are releasing in a healthy way what they just took away from that human, consciously, deliberately healing the human. And these other dolphins are holding space. They're keeping the inner, is that amazing? This is what happens in the wild. This is what these dolphins are doing. And then after this, and you're seeing these inner dolphins thrashing about to release all this pain and suffering that they took on from the human. And these other dolphins are just letting them. And when it's done, they all swim off. There's no backlash. There's nothing else. It's done. It's done. This is such a profound lesson that our animals are really teaching us energetically, because what we really need to learn how to do, I believe, on this planet is to really heal our issues and be done and complete with them and let the story go. One of my most important teachers, Gangaji, has often said that her teacher, Papaji, invited her to let her story go. We don't need to keep telling the story once it's done. So this is really, I believe, what our animals are inviting us to do. I want to share a couple of really fascinating stories, examples. So a few years ago, 2 years ago, I was at the Conscious Life Expo in my booth, and a woman came to me with her duck. Okay, the duck didn't come here. She brought the picture, because I don't need the animal to be present, right? So she brought the duck, the picture of the duck, and she said, "I'm so distraught. My duck is not walking. I have been to every vet in Los Angeles. It's been 4 months. The duck just can't walk. I don't know what to do." We sit down in 20 minutes. It's a 20-minute session at my booth. And, I'm just divinely guided. Really, when I tap in, I'm asking the duck, what do you need? What do you need your human to know, right? Anyone can really do this. And I'm tapping in and asking the human's consciousness. What does your human need? What does this animal need? What's the whole divine team calling for in this moment, so that I can be of service? Because my job is just to get out of the way and to be of service in the highest and best ways possible for the highest and greatest good. This is what I'm really here to help and teach, because if we can get ourselves out of the way, that's when we can be the most effective. Get me out of the way. Just allow me to be of service here in the highest and best ways possible and for the highest and greatest good of all concerned. So this duck, right? 20 minutes, I get all the information downloaded. We do some energy healing. The session's over. I know nothing else. She walks away. I guess she called her husband just to check in with him in Los Angeles. I didn't find this out until months later, when she came back the year later. In fact, she volunteered in my booth for the whole weekend last year. And she said that when she called her husband, the husband on the phone said, "Honey, I don't know what happened, but this duck is up walking around again. Everything's fine." 20 minutes. We do not have to hold on to our pain, our trauma, our drama, our suffering, our anxiety, our fear, our worry, our doubt. This shift of consciousness that we are all underway is now telling us, let it go. Start releasing the past if you haven't already, and once you're done, don't look back. Be done with it and move on to the greatness of who we really are, because that is what it is. Our animals are already incarnated in their absolute pure selves, their God selves, and they are just essence, the essence of the divinity that's within us. And in their purity, they take on our stuff to mirror it, but really that's who they're helping us to become more of. Okay, so let me just give another example. I had a fish once. A lady came to me with a fish. And the fish was on its side for like, I guess it was like 3 weeks or a month. And she had gone for a lot of help and couldn't help this fish. She didn't know what to do. And so she finally came to me. She found me at some presentation, and we did a 1-hour session for her and the fish. Within 24 hours the next day, she called me. She said, the fish is swimming around fabulously again. So this is what really, when we start to get into the energetics of it, we lift the trauma, the drama, and all this energy. This is how fast healing can happen. Now, I'm not promising pills, sweet sugar pills and placebo pills, but I am saying that really we're in a new reality now. Am I talking too loud? Is this good? And in this new reality, what wasn't possible before is possible for us now. But it does mean we have to leave our baggage behind. And our animals are demonstrating this in everyday scenarios, all the time. Things that we once thought were impossible are possible, but it requires us to be willing to surrender our junk, to expose it, just like what Dr. Sarah said, we're only as sick as our secrets. To expose our junk on the table, not dumping it or puking it out onto somebody else, owning it, taking responsibility for the weight that we've been carrying, releasing it with love, tears sometimes, and being willing to surrender it, whatever that means, whatever way that means, and then letting it go as if we've just thrown it out in the dumpster for good. This is really part of the intricate relationship that we're sharing with our animals. So, okay, I hope that's helpful, because really, I think that's the fundamental core. The other thing I just want to say here, too, about this whole healing thing around this is that when we understand that really everything is energy and the physical reality is superseded by the non-physical, and we understand the energetic planes, right? Energetic planes. So you have emotional, spiritual, mental, and intellectual, auric, light field, right? These are all fields of our energetic experience, right? Then we have the physical and the densest, heaviest aspect. So when something makes it into the physical reality, it's because it's gone through all these other levels. And this is what I think you were saying, Anne. The Band-Aid is the physical level. But in order to really heal, we're talking about addressing it on all these other levels too, and clearing it out of our emotional, mental, spiritual, energetic, auric field. What we call the morphogenetic field of our existence. It's always morphing and changing. And again, as we're doing it for ourselves, we're doing it for animals. So let me just say, one of the things I do every other month, and I do these by Telesummit, is called sacred activation, sacred energy activations for people and animals. They're 90-minute calls where we do pure energy healing on the telephone for ourselves and our animals. They're truly transformational energy healing. And I invite you to participate in them. And you can find out more by going to my website at lauriespagna.com. But really, this kind of healing, and it's so affordable. So if you've got stuff, I mean, is there people in the audience who have energetic healing issues with their animals? Yeah? I mean, we always do, right? If anything at all is off balance. So it's a great place. Plus, you can get some live coaching and Q&A answered there, too. And, of course, I mentioned the dolphins. Now, someone else on the panel had referred to, I think that was Dr. Sarah, can you really learn animal communication in 2 hours? And the answer is you can learn it in even less, because it's not something you have to learn. Yes, you have to be open. You already know how to do this. Everybody knows how to do it. So in order to really be a professional, you have to practice, you have to develop your skill. But I mean, you want to chat with your animal companion, just start opening a dialogue and surrender even your not knowing. Surrender even the fact that you don't think you can't do it. And just say, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm sitting here and I'm holding this space. And believe me, when you sit and you hold space, that's where all things brew up from. But if you really aren't sure how to animal communicate and you want to learn, I want to just say I have these in my booth. These are Learn Animal Communication double CDs. These are the step-by-step approach. So you're welcome to come and purchase one of these. It's so simple. It's so outlined. And it's learning it is the easiest part. Developing it, practicing it takes more time. And then also have this double audio CD about animals in the afterlife, connecting with them and what happens in the transition. And believe me, it's not really any different from what happens to us. So it's pretty fascinating if you're interested in that. Double audio CDs, those are up as well. All right, so we're going to go, okay, well, we're good on time, right? We're still good on time, right? 5 minutes, I thought we had 2 hours. 30 minutes, thank you. Okay, beautiful. So, okay, a couple other things, my little plugs here to sort of help you in case you want to learn more. I also have a class coming up called the Akashic Records with your animal companions. So who's been at the show and learned about the Akashic Records? Anyone in the audience? You know about those? Okay. Well, your Akashic Records are basically records of your existence. Your records are in your palm. Your records are in your DNA. Your records are stored for you so you can remember who you are, all of us. And our animals have them too. So I'm teaching a class about the Akashic Records. If you want to learn more about that, you can join me for a free lecture today at 3 p.m. about your DNA, your Akashic Records, and your animal companions. So I just want to invite you to that. And, okay, I think I said my piece. So we're going to go on to questions. I think I'm going to, unfortunately, maybe skip the meditation.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
When animals die versus people, the one thing I get is because they're so pure, they don't have to do a life review.
Yeah.
Is that true? 'Cause
I
that's what I
agree
always
with that.
get.
But they do a little bit of a life review, but it's so short. It's like they could do it, and you have to kind of get out of the linear time.
They don't really have any regrets. It's just
right.
like
They don't
here.
carry regrets. So like when our animals cross over, this is one of the most challenging things. This is really good. Let me say this really fast. The way I learned my lessons, especially about the animals crossing over, was from my dog Kenya. And I adopted her from South Central LA Pound many years ago. She's not with me in physical form anymore. But when I went there, at that time I was still really unconscious, and I just wanted to save a life. I wanted to be of service. I didn't know what I was asking for. So I go to the pound and I get this dog, and I take her to the vet within 24 hours, and the vet says, this dog has parvo, bring the dog back. This is like 15 years ago, right? But back then they didn't really know how to heal parvo so much. Now they really pretty much do. So I bring the dog back. I mean, I said, no, I'm not going to bring the dog back. But I say, this is my dog. Like, would you tell a human, put your baby back? Like, go give your baby up for adoption or go euthanize your baby? No, this is my child. This is the one I adopted. So anyway, 5 days later, the dog, of course, healed. And her name was Kenya, and she taught me my greatest lessons. But here was the most, she really trained me so much. But at the end of her life, we were living in Maui. I lived in Maui first, and that's really where I went through a radical transformation of my own awakening, right? And in Maui, I was going through a divorce, and I was healing all my human aspects of my whole life, all of my own pain and all of my own trauma and drama from my whole lifetime during those 2 years. And wasn't it brilliant of me to go off where nobody could see me? Because I was literally going insane. I was losing my mind. I was losing my egoic identity. I was crazy. I would be classified that way, but I wasn't. It's just that I didn't know how to readapt to the human world. Well, in the healing of that process, and certainly in the going through the trauma and the pain and of the divorce, which was also on the tail end of my brother's crossing. My brother passed away. My dog Kenya took all of that on, and she healed me. She died of cancer in my arms. I didn't understand that back then. So, and then of course when she crossed over, I saw her leave. I saw her energetic imprint, the light, leave her body. And I saw my other dog, Kiko, who was in the room with us, get up on all fours and watch that light leave. when you have these one personalized experiences, nobody can come in and tell you that it's not real. So you guys know for yourself what your personal experiences are. Anyway, that goes back to the afterlife part. They just really, there is a real transition, and yes, I talked along about it. That's enough about that. But the life review is a little different, right? Because even Kenya, when she crossed, her message to me was, forgive, release, it's over. My job was, I'm your teacher. I did this. I was here by divine appointment. Look how you're going to help and serve other people. It was all worth it. It was no regrets on her part, because her service to me was so truly profound, and that I could bring that forward and be of service to others for the rest of my life. That was worth it for her. She always said, celebrate my life. And our animals in the afterlife are always asking us to celebrate their lives, celebrate their service to us and their gifts to us. Okay.
Can I say one more thing?
All right.
She reminded me of a story I had with my horse Mike, and Mike was up in Sacramento and he colicked. And they took him into surgery, and he had surgery, and 2 days later, because I wasn't awake my whole life. Like most of my life, I have a master's in animal science immunology, and I was in pharmaceutical sales, so I was really technical brained. And so I still forget to do this stuff sometimes, even though I know I'm capable of it. And they called me 2 days later. I was in Tucson, and they're like, he's not getting better. We're going to have to take him back into surgery. We don't know what else to do. And I hung up with the phone, and I'm like, wow, I haven't talked to the angels about this. And I just asked them. And the vet called me back 5 minutes later. And she goes, he's up and eating. So I really can't take an eating horse to surgery. And he was fine after that. It was that simple. Just that simple. And the angels can only help us if we ask, because they don't interfere with free will. So remember to ask. That's what they're there for. Thank you.
Okay, so I promise we're going to get your question. We're going to do just one last chance to put your name in the raffle. Has everybody put your name in here? So let's. I'm not going to be able to get to Asia's because we just don't have the time. I'm so sorry. But what we'll do is, I just want to let you know who Asia Voigt is, because she's really fabulous. She was on our panel last year, and she's an incredible international animal communicator with 17 years of experience, and she connects with animal souls to resolve behavioral issues. She's been featured on ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox TV, Coast to Coast, and Hay House. She's really a fantastic animal communicator. I just think for time's sake, we'll probably not be able to do that part of it, but she does have a gift in the raffle that she's going to be awarding, and I really invite you to go to her website and check her out at asiavoigt.com. She's so dedicated to her work, and it's kind of well, again, I don't want to share any of her personal story, but she's really a wonderful, amazing animal communicator. So please do go to her website, asiavoigt.com, and check her out. All right, so we're going to do this raffle here. And I'm going to, what we're going to do, and then we're going to do Q&A. Or should we do the raffle after and do some Q&A first? Okay, let's do Q&A. So someone had a microphone. Okay, let's go to this lady first. She had a hand up first. I'm sorry. We'll come to you right next, okay? And if you could just say your name, and if you're directing your question to one person in particular, and panelists, if you could keep your answers really short, really short.
Hi, my name is Nancy.
Hi, Nancy.
And I heard a few of you mention some alternatives like the Reiki with the doctor and essential oils, some of the like acupuncture and things like that, alternative therapy. This is for all the panel members. Have any of you used crystals like crystal healing or crystal therapy? Thank you.
Who wants to answer?
I have quite extensively with animals, with humans. Crystals hold the frequency of the earth, and they don't change, and they have many aspects and facets. And so when they're teething, for my babies and for animals, there's certain ones for empowering the kidneys. There's certain, like amethyst and rose quartz are generally really great for all. And being really careful with some of them. Some crystals are toxic to our animals, and so not letting them lick them or or putting them in the water. But we drink water with crystals in it, and Angel gets the same water, and we will have different crystals depending on the property that we're working on as a mammal unit. That
Awesome. Okay, real quick.
Really quick, when I became a medium, I got really into stones, and I live in Tucson, which has the biggest gem show in the world, so you kind of just fall into it. And I usually always wear turquoise because I found I can stay and keep my space. And a lot of times when I work with people that have had their voice taken away, they unconsciously have a huge thing of turquoise around their neck. And I've worked with Lucy with crystals too. I stay away from rose quartz because I just cry all the time if I have that on. So usually turquoise and labradorite I like to work with, and then the big quartz crystals to have a grid to protect your space.
And,
Awesome.
And I keep a rose quartz crystal in my horse's water trough for the last 20 years. And when I tried to take it out one time, I was like, something feels really different. And I was like, oh yeah, the rose quartz. Yeah.
Yeah, I work with crystals sometimes too, but not so much for their healing. I put crystals in plants and my basil and my dill and my plants on my windowsill. And I'll use crystals. I work with some crystal skulls for energy healing for the waters. I do a lot of energy healing and clearing for our planet. In grid lines, if you're familiar with grid lines, I plant crystals, put intention into the crystals. Anyone can do it. Put intentions, world intention, into little teeny crystals and bury them into the earth. It actually opens up vortex energy for the earth. So I work with crystals that way, but not as much directly with animals. Okay, let's go to the next question. So we had a gentleman right here. Oh, sorry, then we'll come back.
Hi, Daniel is my name.
Hi, Daniel.
And the question is, what are your telepathic experiences with dolphins and whales?
Okay, so I know I mentioned some of mine a little bit earlier, but
Oh, I guess.
no, but that's okay. Does anyone else want to share on that? Because I just want to. How about anyone else who hasn't spoken? Or ready?
I have not had telepathic experiences with dolphins myself.
Okay.
My experience is when I'm with dolphins, I go into a very childlike, sheer pleasure, joy capacity. It's less about words and more about the energy. It's extraordinary to me, unlike anything.
Yeah. I've had incredible communication with dolphins and whales. I've worked with them directly and indirectly in physical form connected and separately and not in physical form. And I would so second that. It's like you get into their space and energetically there is this bliss euphoria that comes over. There are no words. And I've participated in lots of healing circles and led lots of healing circles for whales and dolphins. They are the healers of the waters. That is their sacred contract for Earth, to be healers of the water. They raise the vibrations of the water. They clear the water for us of a lot of our toxins. You know, the waters, by the way, represent our blood and our emotions in our form. So it's, paralleling, and they're helping us with all of that. So that's my experience. I hope that helps. Okay.
My co-host on the radio show was terrified of water. She believes that she had her past life, and in her readings turned out she drowned, and she was terrified. In Hawaii, she was the dolphins surrounded her and basically almost pulled her into the water. 3 dolphins worked with her. She lost her fear of water and healed much of her autoimmune condition as well with dolphins. And dolphins, if we're so blessed here in Los Angeles, if you go out to the beach, just about without fail, if you truly have the feeling of dolphins and whales, you can call them. And to this day, my daughter, the 10-year-old, we've never really gone to the ocean and not had dolphins come meet us at some point, these beautiful pods. It's just an incredible experience. We're using maybe 10% capacity because of the integration of the 2 halves of our brain at the same time. Dolphins have both halves integrated to such a level that they're emanating out this pure resonant energy, and they send out a sound vibration, and what they receive back in the sending out of that sound is what's not coherent or cohesive, or the sound that they hear back doesn't form the sacred geometry patterns, and they know what those patterns are for different conditions, and they send out the corrective sound, and that corrects in water. We're 70 to 90% water, in water with perfect memory. They're charging it with those sounds, and so it's quite extraordinary. I'm so excited that you guys are going.
Awesome.
Can I share another little tidbit?
Okay, let's go
It's quick.
Real quick.
So when you go to the beach, interact with dolphins telepathically. They hear you. Like I was at the beach. I've had this kind of experience many times, but last fall, I had a close friend who passed away, and I was going to the beach and asking for dolphins' assistance, and I came over the berm, and as soon as I opened my eyes, dolphins were just leaping in the air. We walked the beach. I was with a friend, and we kept interacting with the dolphins and talking with them, and they just, the more excited we got, the more excited and playful they got. Mm-hmm. It was amazing. It was so much fun.
Yeah, so one thing I will say, in my advanced animal communication class, I teach my students to connect with groups, like groups of dolphins, groups of whales, subgroups, and you can really connect with the whole consciousness of an individual species. For example, all dogs. What's the dogs in general, or all the cats in general, or all the dolphins? So you really can connect with the whole subgroup to know what they're here for and what they want to share with us. So, all right, we'll get this question right here in the back. Oh, we're going to go to you next. Yeah. I'm sorry, Phyllis. We'll go next. That's why I'm kind of trying to go through the questions a little faster. All right, Phyllis is next. Sorry.
Hello. I hope I don't even know exactly how to articulate the question, but I just feel so incredibly, a little bit I was listening to Sandy speak about being so heart-centered, and Sarah about really vibrating love through every breath, cell, pore, and orifice of our body. But usually animals, I've had so many traumatic experiences where it's just been just sheer rage or trauma or sorrow, and the animal has yielded, and my cat companion has just been there unconditionally. So right. I feel now after listening to you, I feel a little self-conscious about our negative energies that we might have unconsciously, subconsciously, whether it's just walking around puttering with jealousy or sorrow or rage or resistance, because we care so much about them, and we don't want to just be this just dumping.
Right.
So how to perhaps maybe tips on how to balance that a little bit more.
Okay. Who wants to take this 1 minute or less, or two, so we can do all the questions?
I don't know if this is at all applicable to what you're referring to, but it comes to mind things like 4th of July, fireworks. The animals will freak out sometimes during that time. Well, my recommendation would be to observe a calm demeanor yourself and own that calmness, and then your animal will follow your example. So it's kind of like follow the leader. And rather than giving in to the anxiety and the nervousness from the fireworks, or, that's just one example, but being an example of calmness, so the animal will also be calm. Does that make sense?
Who else? Thank you, alrighty. Who else?
Yeah. I think it's really important to be very real with what's going on. The more we come into awareness, it's like, we're human, it's not like I talk about what, coming into our hearts. It doesn't mean I can do that 24/7, okay? I don't mean to say that, that's why I said it's easy, but not always simple, right? And so it's so important to be very real and honest with where you are and what's going on with yourself, but also with your animals, and to communicate with them. And there's several parts to the question, and when I say be real, it's like even once you're aware, it's like, oh my God, I've been walking around in this loop of ... And just say it out loud. Say it out loud with your animals. It helps it shift, right? It brings it to another level of awareness. Does this make sense to people? It doesn't mean, and then ask your animals to to find ways to ground that out, shake it out. I love it, you know, and so that coach them to not hold on to it. That holding on to it does not mean that that's the best way. Thank them for their assistance in this exchange of energy and their service, and also ask them to let it go and move through them. Right?
Awesome. I'm going to answer that one too, just real quick. What I would say about that is that what happens is we don't realize we inadvertently perpetuate experiences. And because we don't understand how energy works, energy creates an energetic imprint in reality. And this energetic imprint, if it's significant, a trauma, a drama, such as you mentioned, it will repeat until it's cleared. So there's two ways to clear it. Experience it again until it dulls itself, which is what we've been doing, or else clear it energetically from the field. Now, energy never dies, but it does transmute. So let's say we can energetically, this is the work of an energy healer. This is something only energy workers can do, really. And not all of them do it. Different ones do different ways. But if we can locate within your morphogenetic field, because you're the creator of your reality. You're the only one who exists in a sense, in your bubble, in your holographic universe, right? This is making sense. I know it's high level, but if you're really absorbing it, right? So in your holographic reality, if you can locate with an energy healer where that blip of energy of the trauma and drama was at the origin, lift it, pull it, remove it. This is what I do in my manifestation and healing circles. Get it out of your field, transmute it into a more peaceful, benevolent, loving vibration of energy, then it doesn't need to repeat. That, to me, is core energy work to transmute the experiences that we're having that we no longer desire. However, real quick, in order for us to do that, we have to first come into the neutral. How do we do that? We have to get out of our judgment of it being right or wrong, good or bad. We have to understand that there's desirable and undesirable, not right and wrong. We're in choice points here. What are we going to choose? So to heal what we no longer want, those traumas and dramas, we step into the, oh yeah, I'm just not choosing to re-experience it anymore. Done. Let me receive the gifts and the wisdom associated with it and clear out the denser, heavier energy so they don't perpetuate. Is that helpful? Yeah. Yeah, thank you. That was a great question. All right, let's take Gladys. Not Gladys, sorry, Phyllis.
I want to know if animals can take on multiple souls when they incarnate to be our companion.
They can come from more than one animal?
Yes.
One person, that's what you're talking about?
One animal soul. Like I'm wondering my current dog, if there's several souls that have he's part of several other animals that I have.
You know, I've seen that happen with cats. And cats come in and out a fair amount. I haven't seen it happen with dogs. I'm not saying it couldn't happen, because what I basically do is see what I see, and it's like, oh, that can happen. So I don't know, Lori, do you know?
Well, I could call that, if I understand your question, I would call that a walk-in. Yeah. So yes, they do. You might have a host animal. One animal crosses over. He's not fully finished, so he comes back. He walks into the physical form of another. They have a soul agreement, a soul contract. So one can come in, hang out for a little while the other one's consciousness sort of checks out, goes into another la-la land, comes back. So he's just borrowing a body. That's one way. Another way is that's how they share. But can they reincarnate? I know you already know the answer to that. Yes, of course. And that was the other aspect of that question. I hope that's helpful. All right, you guys, we're gonna wrap because we really have like 5 minutes left, and I want to do the raffle, unless there's any last burning question. Okay, real quick, because we have to wrap.
Okay, so my question is, I talk to my animals, my 2 dogs, and one of them, Cupcake, has a knee issue, and she's overweight, Cupcake. But my question is, so the vet said she's overweight, she needs to lose weight, but she can't work out because her knee is hurt, and she has to eat a little bit of food, which we're doing. I'm giving her vegetables and everything. My question is, I've been doing healings on her, over-loving her, and I'm wondering if they are being effective. Intuitively, what do you guys think?
So I'm feeling Cupcake, and I'm feeling the her paws.
Which knee?
And it's what I really feel is it is working, and it's not just at the knee joint, it's all the way out. It's like held up like this with the paw. So having stimulation right here as well as right here, so the energy throughout, and you are doing a great job. Cupcake feels she's resting. She likes to lay her head in your lap when you're doing the healing. And so you're doing it. It's such a beautiful gift that you're giving her. And her energy is really, really playful, even though there are all the other parts that work so well. So reminder of all the parts that are working well, and feel that goodness with her. I'm going to just address all three of those questions really, really quickly. We have a rainbow of emotions, and if we're like red is anger and blue is sadness, if we're trying to pretend we don't have those, we dim our colors. And our animals feel that energy, and they feel the dimness. So it's important to feel what you feel and to really get a voice to it and bring it back to light. And when we leave our physical bodies, so my name is Sarah, S-A-R-A-H, each one of those letters is released from my name. Each one of the energies that come together to form you is released from your body. So the energy of your liver, that goes, and it has the opportunity to come back in from many different places. So one dog can have 5 different parts from previous pets.
Awesome. Thanks, Dr. Sarah. That's beautiful. Yeah, will you talk with me afterwards? Because I can give you a little insight too. We just don't have time. But your dog, it's working, and your dog's receiving it. And what you're not realizing is it sometimes gets a little worse on its way out.
That usually happens.
Sometimes it escalates a little on its way out. There's more there. But she's really such a sweet animal, and she's saying, Mommy, I'm just so sweet. I'm being so sweet, and I want you to be sweet with me, and we're sweet together, and I love you. It's okay. Okay. Yeah, they really do take on the energetic vibration of their names. They take on the energetic vibration of the names, you know. Okay, so we're going to do the raffle. So this is what we're going to, one by one. So we're going to do Sarah's first, Dr. Sarah. Dr. Sarah, okay. Will you just say it one more time? It's
a reading at the booth. It's a half-hour reading. I'm so excited.
Half-hour reading, you lucky, whoever gets this one. Oh, my God, I wish I put my name in here. Okay, Ann, pick one name. Yay!
Z. Blick.
Z. Blick. Yay for you! Oh my God, you are so lucky. Okay, now we're going to do our mighties. So our mighty, this is our mighties.
20-minute phone consultation.
What's that?
A 20-minute phone consultation.
20-minute phone consultation. Oh my goodness. Yay!
Or you could do it in person too if you want to.
What's that?
Or in person is all right
Or in
also.
person. Okay, the winner for this one is Crystal Hope Reed. Yay, Crystal! Woohoo! Okay, so this is going to be yours. Come up. Make sure you get it at the end after we do this. Okay, now we're going to do Sandy's. Oh, you know what? Before we do these, excuse me, let's do Asia's. So Asia's gift to the group is a 30-minute session with her. Lucky, 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 whoever gets this. Asia Voigt. Okay, so whoever that is, come see me afterwards so you can pick up your gift certificate. So let's have our mighty pull one. Oh, my goodness. Athena Ryan? Who's Athena? Are you in here? Athena Ryan? Going? All right. You snooze, you lose. Got to be present. Our animals teach us to be present in the now. Okay. Donna Abdike? Oh, my Donna. Lucky you. Oh, my goodness. So lucky. Okay. That's for Asia. Okay. So now we're going to do yours. Sandy, do you want to say?
So you got a full set of these puppies.
This is a good one.
CDs, workbooks for animal communication, animal energy healing, and pet hospice.
What's the value of this?
The value of this is retail is a lot. The retail value is $6.79.
Oh my God! OMG!
This is like a jackpot.
Lucky.
Jackpot.
Pick a name.
Jane Singer.
Jane Singer. Lucky Jane. Who's using their manifesting abilities on this one? Okay, so I'm going to do mine, and you know what, Ann? Let's do yours first, Ann.
Well, I'm going to do my book and a 15-minute reading.
Okay, 15-minute reading with
I'll
Ann
write that
and
down.
this wonderful book, Animal Lover. Okay, who hasn't picked one out? You haven't. You all get to pick. Suzanne Campbell. Yay, Suzanne! Woohoo! You guys, if you're good manifestors, one more chance. Okay, here's mine. So if you win this one, you get a $100 gift coupon to any class of equal or greater value with me. It is not for private sessions, but it's $100 for any class. But the big part of it is, this is valued at $570. So you get a whole class, a whole workshop on developing your intuitive gifts. It's all CDs and ebook. And then you get a class on help I'm sensitive, how do I cope, developing your sensitivities and working with them. A class on 7 surefire steps to making a heart-centered connection with your animal companions. 90-minute MP3 and mini ebook. And the bonus product, which is celebrating 365 days of gratitude. Okay, so I wrote in this book. So this is yours. If you pick now, it's $570. It's over $570.
I get to pick again.
Maria Aguila.
Aguila.
Yay, Maria! Woo! All right, you guys, we're going to close out today. Please come down and see us. I'm down at booth 105. One last 10 seconds. And Sarah?
We love you. It's all love. Just remember the love. It can either be love or fear. Choose love.
Okay. And Armighty?
Being vegan is a great way to show love for all beings, and feel free to listen to my podcasts at my website, veganvet.net, for interviews with experts, including Lori.
Woohoo.
Great, thank you.
Sandy?
Trust yourselves. Trust yourselves. Trust yourselves. Trust yourselves. And I have a gift for everybody. Go to my website, onehearthealingcenter.com/CLE, Conscious Life Expo, CLE gift. onehearthealingcenter.com. Website's on page 25 under the panel. onehearthealingcenter.com/CLE gift.
Okay. And I'm Lori Spagna. Again, please go to my website, lorispagna.com/free gifts to get your free animal communication class and your free intuitive development class, plus your free Juicy Living ebook. I want to say thank you to you guys. Keep loving your animals and loving yourself.
Oh, Ann Hoff, love returns to love again and again and again. It never dissipates. My book is on Kindle on Amazon this weekend for 99 cents for you Kindle readers. And I am in booth M14.
All right, you guys. Thank you so much. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.